Halloween, everybody. It is Saturday, October 28th. Halloween is quickly approaching, one of my absolute favorite holidays. It's time to carve a pumpkin. I have some ideas that I was doodling. Pumpkin carving is something I enjoy doing. I don't do it every year. This year I'd like to do it. And I'm thinking of doing a Day of the Dead type of pumpkin. We are carving pink pumpkins at work for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is October. So I wanted to do something kind of feminine, and I'm thinking a Day of the Dead sugar skull type of carving might be fun to do. And it's actually a little bit more challenging than I anticipated. So I went and got myself a pink pumpkin. So a little bit something different this week. We're not doing a collage. However, I have been playing with collage material and a pumpkin surface. And what I did here was I scored the surface of the pumpkin, scored the back of the magazine ephemera. Be careful because that is thin and you might rip it. And then just used my trusty Mod Podge. Now it's going to be temporary because the pumpkin is organic. It's going to not last very long after Halloween, so I'm not going to use anything that I love for the pumpkin decoupage. I might do that, I might not. And this pumpkin has to be painted pink. It's a contest at my work, so I have some acrylic paint that I will add later. But first, I'm going to carve this pumpkin. So this scary, horrible little drawing right here is basically the area that I felt I could work with on this pumpkin, and the blue drafting tape is to show me my spaces. I've already cleaned out the pumpkin. As you can see, I got my hand in here, and I decided to spare you all the pumpkin guts. So this is the area that I'm planning on working with. And I spent a good portion of yesterday actually cutting out these templates to see what would work and what wouldn't work. And I'm thinking this is where I'm going to go. So the sizes should correspond with the surface space here that I have to work with. After I'm all done carving, then we're going to paint the pumpkin. We're definitely going to paint it pink, but since it's a sugar skull, there's a lot of other colors that can be incorporated with it, and maybe a little bit of collage decoupage. I don't know. I got a backup pumpkin just in case. I got a tiny pumpkin, and if this goes well and I'm feeling really artsy this afternoon, I might do a decoupage pumpkin. So now it's time to go ahead and get started. What I'm not doing is what I normally did when I was a kid, which was like draw onto the surface what I wanted to cut. While I don't think that's such a bad idea, I'm probably going to rely on my template here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the pieces and put them where I want them to be. Now this blue tape here on the bottom of the pumpkin is to indicate to me that when I set the pumpkin like this, you can't see it in the camera, but when people are coming by and seeing the pumpkin, that blue tape indicates where I should put the mouth, and when people are looking at the pumpkin, they'll see the mouth as well. So I got a lot of detail that I want to put here. That's a lot of detail. Quick hint, and I got this off of the internet also, because the internet, YouTube, I love it. What I did was, when I cleaned out the pumpkin, the area I know I'm going to be doing a lot of delicate cutting, I scraped it as much as I possibly could because the pumpkin walls are pretty thick. And once I do that scraping on the inside, I thinned it out just a little bit. The other thing too is you want to start with your more delicate areas first. At least that's what I am going to attempt to do, but I need my carving tools. Now we know the Xacto knife is going to work for something like this, but we need some hardcore pumpkin carving tools, so let me go get them right now. And here are my pumpkin carving tools. I have had these for eons. I ordered them. They're wonderful tools for carving. The other thing is the knives are kind of flexy because we're dealing with a pumpkin surface, which is round, organic, and it's going to do what it wants. But these tools really help you maintain the integrity of what you are designing. This is the scraper that really helps scraping out the guts and the seeds, which are tasty. I just roasted mine, very yummy, with some salt, some pepper, and some paprika. and a little bit of oil, 400 degrees, 20 minutes, you're good. I was even able to pull a wine label off while I was at it, but that's for another video. We're doing pumpkins today. And of course, my trusty Xacto knife. And I'm going to actually be using blades that were already used for collage. They still have a little bit of sharpness to them. And I'll just use it mainly to just carve and get some more delicate edges, because there's a lot of delicate stuff going on here. And then from my printmaking days of very old stylist, I'm going to use this to bore holes for our sugar skull, see what we come up with. We might use a lot of it. I'm not sure if this pumpkin is going to see a front porch this year. We have a front porch, so I could conceivably do that, you know, for some erstwhile trick-or-treaters that come by. But now it's time to go ahead and get started on our sugar skull pumpkin. So it's like I said, it's been a minute. I did actually do a practice pumpkin last week. It didn't come out too bad. And what I was trying to do was get that translucency that some really talented carvers use, where you're not carving all the way through, that there's like that little bit of a sheen that's left, so it looks like almost see-through, but you don't carve all the way through. I want to accomplish that with this pumpkin, and I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm going to try. And kind of like collage, I might start out with one idea and then go in an entirely different direction. So what I'm thinking about doing here, obviously, is doing a little bit of tracing, so I know what everything looks like, and I really want to keep it in this arena. I want my pumpkin to have her features, I'm gonna just call her in this general area as even as possible. It's not going to be possible because I have a surface here that is very difficult to work with. It's a very waxy surface. I did clean it off a little bit. I just kind of wiped it off. Some people do a pretty thorough cleaning for their pumpkin. Another hint I got from watching the internet, this one channel, I can't remember it, I apologize, but she suggested dipping the pumpkin in a bleach solution. So mainly water, but a little bit of bleach to make the pumpkin last longer. Right now this guy has, or this gal, has some paper towels just to keep her from getting drippy, because she's relatively clean. So let's see, I kind of got that drawn on there. So that's what I did, just so I could just keep things even. I want her to have these bright, beautiful lips. We want to start with that. Kind of keep them even. I'm going to draw it in just a little bit more. She's a sugar skull, so I want to have like some lineage going on here that indicates those lines that you see on sugar skulls when people decorate them. Lines that indicates like a skeleton look. So we'll see if that's going to be successful or not. The other thing I want for her is I want her to have beautiful lips. So I'm just going to kind of draw them based on what my original design was. But I want her to have teeth also. The teeth are important to me. And you know, we want it, size is important when you are working with any type of medium. You want different sizes going on because it's just more fun and more interesting to look at. So let's see. And I could just have her have teeth on the front maybe. That wasn't my original plan, because look, she has teeth on the front, on the top and on the bottom. And I'm seeing here, it's going to be a little difficult maybe to give her teeth on top and the bottom, but she needs teeth on the top too and on the bottom. Okay. Now what was my plan? I have a little color-coded system here. I obviously colored it in a little bit. The dark color means it's a cut that goes all the way through. The orange part here, I want it to be transparent. And then whole means that I don't cut, I just keep the pumpkin itself intact. So we want the mouth here to be completely through, and I want the teeth to be whole. And then I want the lips to be transparent. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. Do I want to do that? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if I'm going to attempt keeping things transparent with the pumpkin. But I am going to start cutting. I'm going to start carving this pumpkin and just throw myself into it and see what we come up with. Things aren't going the way I thought they would. I lost a tooth. I wanted a tooth here and it didn't happen. But what I am doing is I'm trying to create a little line just along the surface of the pumpkin, not puncturing all the way through, and then cutting around so it looks like actual teeth. This one doesn't have too much of a line. And it's very delicate because I did it here for one of the teeth and promptly fell out. Now the nice thing about my Xacto is you can gently do some nice craftsmanship, some cleanup, and just clear up any excess that you don't want. I can usually save that for the end. I like to do cleanup as I go because it just makes things easier and I can see where I'm at. So the teeth came out okay. Now the nice thing about the Xacto, it's not as abrasive as these tools are. Get a little bit of that off there. But these tools help with those large areas. When you're working with these smaller areas, that's when your Xacto is going to help. So I'm really relying a lot on my Xacto knife and the old blades. These are not brand new blades. They still have some sharpness to them. I didn't throw them away after using them for collage projects. And it's this kind of thing, and also Colorgraph, that I like using my old blades. So I don't throw my blades away right away. I hang on to them for things like this. Now right here, it's a little messy. I'm going to come in with the edge of my blade and just give it a little scrape, a little cleanup. The Xacto lives up to its name, exacting. So you can come in here and make those cleanups very gently without compromising the design. So I'm pretty pleased so far. I don't want to do too much more on these teeth. They're intact. We lost the one, and there's one that's this one's getting a little loose, but it looks like there's enough for it to hang on to. I think I'm going to possibly abandon the translucent technique. There are better carvers out there than and you can probably find those on another channel. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up this mouth. We still have the lips to think about. I'm mimicking something like this, so I'm going to go back to time-lapse and start cutting out a pair of lips. So what I'm doing here is cutting just basically a line. I'm not cutting all the way through, not going all the way through the rind, just a nice deep cut on the surface, but not all the way through, because I want to show a line, I want to show the lips. It's a little tricky because this is where it's more detailed and kind of hard to see on a white pumpkin, but what I'm trying to do is create that line and show these lips, but we're not plunging the knife all the way through the pumpkin surface. It's pretty deep. I really want to be careful because I could easily plunge the knife through and then everything, teeth and everything, go right through. We just want enough to show where her lips are. And I think I can lift it now. Okay, this is what I want. It's just the surface of the pumpkin. So we have something like that. It's just enough so we have some detail. And the nice thing about this detail is we have that contrast with space. We have these small lines corresponding, here we go, with the big space here that we obviously cut straight through the surface of the pumpkin. Not doing that here. There'll be some translucency if I decide to put a candle in the pumpkin, which I should. You know, you got to put a candle on the pumpkin. It's the whole point. But it won't be all the way through. And I'm really trying to be careful here. Here we go. So you just want just to get a little bit, if you can see on the surface, just the skin part and a little bit underneath. That's all you need to do to create a line. And that way you have something that is different. It differentiates, and it allows you to have a little bit more leeway for design, because I want these lips to be, you know, sugar skull lips. I want her to have lips, and I'm probably going to paint them. She's going to be painted pink, and we may do, like I said, we might possibly do some decoupage on this pumpkin if it works. I wanted to actually look at my decoupage pieces on my test piece to see how they're doing, and so far so good. Like I said, it's not meant to last forever, but it looks like they'll last for Halloween night. Yeah, you can pull them up. These were scored. Actually, it's on pretty well, even the ones that aren't scored. Okay, that's going to give us some options here in the end. I can always come back in with my knife here, clean up that little bit of a mess. If I need to, you know, clean up, cut around it a little bit. Gotta be careful with that though. Once you've done a cut, you kind of want to leave it alone. And maybe cut a little bit more, little slices, but you just want to take it easy. It's not a super strong surface. I mean, it's pretty strong. You know, we all know pumpkins are pretty durable. I mean, some people don't cut their pumpkins. They leave them on the porch and you see them in March. And you're like, hey, wait a minute, is a leprechaun living in there now? But I don't do that. If you cut them like this, you know, then their lifespan is very, very short. So I come in with my Xacto that way, but I'm also using my printmaking stylus to make a little bit of space and also to do just a touch of cleanup. So having these different tools for a project like this, it's a lot of fun. I know for some of you, if you got little ones, you're not going to want them playing with these Xacto knives. But they can participate other ways, that's for sure. I know my parents didn't let me cut a pumpkin for a long time, but once I got started, you know, it was a lot of fun. Okay, so the upper lip is looking pretty good. Not as even as I wanted it to be with the other side, but that's the way it goes. Again, we're dealing with an organic surface here. I want to be careful cutting. And you don't know what you're going to come up with. You just have to allow it. And it's kind of like, again, I've mentioned this before, watercolor. Watercolor does what it wants to do. Clean up their teeth a little bit, but it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to consider the bottom portion of the lip. Same technique. You want to clean that up a little bit more so we have a little bit more line showing. Just a little bit. So I come in like this and just draw my blade down here. I'm not cutting all the way through. Do not cut all the way through when you're doing this, and lift it. If you cut all the way through, you know, it's a pumpkin, it's okay. You know, it's Halloween and it's meant to be fun. So let's see, get the rest of that debris. The nice part about the Xacto, again, is you can clean up those edges. It's a lot of fun. So here we are at the bottom portion of our pumpkin, our sugar skull pumpkin. Just going to clean that up a little bit. And now it's time to do the rest of the lips. Now I really want to be careful here because I don't want to lose this piece, because the whole piece can go diving down now. We could lose all of it, and I don't want to do that. So I'm driving the tip. I have a little more control when I do this, using the tip. Okay, we'll just do one portion at a time. And be careful here. It's hard to see. It actually is very hard to see on these lips. We'll just do a little bit, one portion at a time. And I got my line going, which means I'm ready to hopefully, not all the way through, pull up some chunks of pumpkin and keep going here.
Perfect.
pretty well. I'm pleased with it, aside from a couple of cleanup issues, but I'm going to have to address the cleanup issues at the end when everything is cut. It came out okay. I am very, very pleased with it. I seriously relied on my Xacto to do cleanup and to do cutting because it's a lot less heavy-handed than our sturdy tools, which were great for gutting my pumpkin. But the lineage going on here, it was great. It was great for that. So, and I like how it came out. It's not exact, but again, it's a pumpkin and it's organic and it's Halloween and things aren't supposed to make sense, right? Well, yeah, to a point. So, yeah, the cleanup stuff I'm going to worry about later. And I don't have too much pumpkin gut stuff going on. So it doesn't look exactly what I wanted it to look like there. It's okay. I think it's close enough, right? So let's move on. Here's our little template that we're relying on. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to get those main features on first, the nose and the eyes and such, before I start working on these tiny little pieces, these hearts and flowers and such, and then the side grin. So I think next I need to consider the nose. And the nose, well, like I said, I'm not sure if I want to do that transparency thing. Because I don't know. We'll see. Let me think about it as I work, because sometimes my ideas come to me while I'm working. So here is the nose. Take it off. That's, I wanted the tape to stay with it. Okay. So here's the nose. So it's backwards heart. It's an upside down heart with a heart in the middle. And I'm trying to decide where I want to put it. So let me grab some tape, some drafting tape. Very interesting how the tools for collage work and pumpkin carving really are related. Could be onto something here. So I'm thinking as I'm looking at my pumpkin, I wanted the nose there. Okay, so this is where we want the nose. I'm going to grab the eyes and just kind of place them where I think I want them to go, because the thing is, it's a skull, so skulls are a little thin. And when I was playing with this yesterday, trying to decide what my design would be, it was getting a little frustrating because I wanted to work with a big pumpkin face surface. But then it didn't look like a sugar skull, and that bugged me. So I'm trying to keep things really close together. Okay, just so I know where I want everything to go. And again, this really has to serve as something that will guide me. It's not the be all and end all if it doesn't come out the way I wanted it to. I even have a template that I was working with for the eyes, so I may need to rely on this again in just a moment, but not the nose. We're working on the nose right now. So here I come with just a pencil, colored pencil, so I can kind of see on the surface. And the nice thing about the colored pencil is just enough of a mark that's left that allows me to work. It's easy enough to smooth off, clean off. It's not that difficult at all. But it is a little hard to see, I won't lie. It is a little hard to see. Very hard to see, actually. No, actually, that's pretty good. See, we got the blue nose going on. I want to do another here, kind of like what we did for our lips. Okay, so this was my thinking. I want the heart in the middle, which means, okay, how does that look? It's, again, we're working with a rough surface here. So I'd like a heart in the middle. I'd like a solid piece of pumpkin here, and then around it, maybe that translucency, so a thicker line, if you will. I'm going to clean this up here just a second. And the thing is, when you carve, you can't put it back. It's a little rough. So whatever you carve away, that's why I think carving is, that's definitely a skill into itself. You're subtracting from something. You're not adding to it. You're not adding layers or anything like that. So in this case, what I want to do is we have our nose, we have that heart right in the middle. If that's what I want to accomplish, then I need to work with my heart first. Just a little bit of meaning to that, huh? I don't know. It's pumpkin carving. Why am I taking things so seriously? Because it's fun. Okay, I'm just gonna, with my stylus, actually, I am drawing a heart. So I want this to stay intact. If all goes well, what's going to happen is this will be painted, so it'll be more visible. But this actually, I'm scoring the surface of the pumpkin. This might be even easier than what I was doing with the Xacto knife, because I'm not penetrating all the way through. I am just scoring the surface. It's a little messier than the Xacto, but I can come in with the Xacto and maybe clean it up just a touch. Yeah, the Xacto will clean it up, I think. Let's see. We want as much detail as we can get on this, because it's a sugar skull. I want it to be a sugar skull. Whether or not it's going to look like a sugar skull is going to be left to interpretation. That's what I'm going for. If it happens, fantastic. If not, we have something that will be unique unto us. Okay, let's score this a little bit more. Okay, so I can see my heart. I hope you guys can see the heart too. And now I want to work with this part, which is going to be, this is going to stay intact. I'm just going to use the stylus, I guess, to keep it, give me my lines. And I think that'll work. Might be a little wonky, it might be a little uneven. I'm looking at it from a different angle, and when I put it back down, it might not look the way I want it to, because I'm working up very close to it. Yeah, it's a little, a pumpkin's gonna do what a pumpkin's gonna do. So here I'm gonna come in with my Xacto and maybe try to straighten it up. Possibly can do that. I gotta be careful because I can't penetrate all the way through. A little bit you can. You're gonna feel the knife maybe slip and go all the way through, but remember we are dealing with a thick surface, so it's gonna take a lot. So this might just work. And I'm actually thinking it's gonna be time to maybe change my knife out to another knife that was used, not a fresh knife. Ah, that's what I wanted. So see, got just that little bit. And we can continue with our cutting. A little tiny scraper of some sort. I don't have anything currently at my desk that's going to help me with that, but I think I can maybe find something. Obviously, change of plans. I came in here and I thought I was going to keep the heart intact, the little heart in the middle of the nose, and I decided no, I wanted to show all the way through. And now we're doing what I'm calling the transparency around the nose. It's a little messy, and that's why I wish I had a bit of a scraper just to clean it up. It's not as bad as I thought, but it needs cleanup because craftsmanship-wise, I don't like the mess I made. But it achieved what I wanted, I think. But the inside of the heart is messy. I want to clean that up a little bit. And does it look like a heart? Yeah, a little misshapen. I don't want to carve away too much because again, what I carve away, I can't replace it. So I'm hoping, just some cleanup will make it look a little bit more. I wonder if this would work as a it kind of works as a scrape. See, this is what I wanted to do. Just kind of scrape it up. Just clean it. And again, we just penetrated just the surface of the pumpkin, not all the way through. I thought about doing this with the lips. Do I still have time to do that? In other words, am I going to compromise my teeth and everything else? I think I'm going to leave my lips alone, if that's the case. Oh, here, I want to cut more. See what happens? You cut more and you can't replace that. You can't go back. It's fine. I'm looking like the Joker. You know, we could always switch gears and say it's a Joker pumpkin. So I just want something that I can scrape this a little bit just to clean it up. But cleanup can come later, and I don't want to be too crazy with the cleanup because I don't want to, you know, puncture it and go all the way through, and then we have a problem and everything in essence is ruined. There's plenty of pumpkins out there, guys. And we still have 2 days to Halloween. At least I do right now. But I would like to, you know, I've spent a lot of time on this already, and I kind of want to keep it. So I'm just using, this should work as a scraper. It's not too bad. Another hint, if you don't already know, I'm going to be putting probably acrylic on this pumpkin. So that should protect it from rotting between now and Tuesday night. But what you can do also is put Vaseline on the edges where you cut your pumpkin. It keeps it moisturized, and it just helps. I've done that in the past. Another hint I got, again, from the YouTube channel, that the same one that told me about bleaching pumpkins, to put cinnamon and nutmeg and clove on the inside of the pumpkin because it makes it smell better. Because pumpkin guts don't smell good. They just don't. Okay. And I might try that with this one just to keep her smelling fresh and cinnamony for the contest on Tuesday. And then Tuesday night when she gets her candle. Okay. Gonna leave that alone. It doesn't look too bad. And here I go. Every time I tell you that, I reach over and I grab my knife again. I just want to cut that a little bit. So what I'm hoping to achieve here, and I think I'm achieving it, is just different varying levels of pumpkin carving. We have, you know, straight through, or we cut straight through, and then we have my so-called translucence, which might work, you know, once we put a candle in her. It might look kind of cool. Or a flashlight. Maybe a flashlight is safer, guys. Or a little tea light, one of those electric tea lights. I'm gently just cleaning here, just doing little cleaning. Because it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna do more cutting here and around, and what's gonna happen? We're gonna have more cleanup to do. It's just a fact of pumpkin life. Okay, so that's all good. We're doing good so far. Time to think about the eyes. And do I want to do the same thing with the eyes that I did with the nose? I certainly can. Let's just see how that works. We have I have my little template that I really love working with. Was it this one or this one? I think it was this one, 1 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as my guide. Just go all the way around 1 1/4, right? Okay. And then this guy, it looks good. I keep checking it to make sure everything is fairly lined up. Let me remove this so I can draw it. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's a little wonky. Again, we're dealing with a very, very odd surface. This is not. There you go. I see your eyes. This is a very uneven surface. So here's the eye. I want to go ahead and draw my, let me just use this pen. This pen has a little more oomph to it. I wanted to give this eyelashes. The eyelashes are going to be delicate. The eyelashes, so again, I'm thinking about when we need to do the circle in between. So I'm going to maybe this. 1932. Okay, well that's a lot easier to see, right guys? Okay. And you know, it's Halloween and it's a skull and it can be cuckoo crazy. You can have some fun with it. And let's just do, well, what I can do is pinpoint right here, because what I'm going to do, I believe, is come in with my trusty stylus and create a hole. And I'm just I am puncturing the skin. This will be all the way through. Okay, I think it's gonna be okay. I see the surface rising, so I want to be careful. And I'm just boring through, poor guy, or gal. It's not making a perfect circle, but again, we can go back with our Xacto. I'm just kind of puncturing it. A little odd looking. Come in with my Xacto. Clean it up a little bit. It's these details you want to do first before you do the rest of the cutting. That's what I'm comfortable with. I recommend doing that. I have to think about those eyelashes too. Those are going to be weird. Okay. I'm going to try that for now, where I'm just doing a little bit. Okay. I'm going to do the same with this eye. And then we're going to keep this center iris intact. So, and have this like the nose. I think that'll work. Okay. Not a perfect circle, but pretty close to it. So let's get back to that. Let's go ahead and get these eyes done and think about the eyelashes next. This is new territory for me. I've never carved a pumpkin like this before. Another thing is I've never worked with a white pumpkin before, and it doesn't have that really strong smell like orange pumpkins do. It actually smells like an apple, so it's really actually quite pleasant. I like this technique. I think I'm doing something along the lines of the translucency, but I'm just, not cutting all the way through and just working with the surface. This is messy right now. I don't like the messiness, and I really want to clean it up as I go along. Okay, doesn't look too bad now, and I wish I had my printmaking tools were when I used to do lino cut printing, which is like a gouge. You have a gouge tool and you gouge into linoleum plates. They would work really well. I was telling my editor this morning when I started working that I wish I had those gouges, but they're at home and I'm not going to go drive home and get them. But this is looking good. I kind of like the way it looks. It's kind of skull-esque, and I'm pleased. Kind of scary, and I'm excited. Yay! And so is the pumpkin. So we'll work on this one, and then I will think about some eyelashes for my sugar skull. Continuing on with our pumpkin. So I got the eyes pretty much done. I'm working on the eyebrows now, and I traced along the edge of the black line for the eyebrows with the Xacto knife. I'm coming in with a stronger tool and just starting with this cut. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out these eyebrows. They're a larger portion, so while detail is still important here, this will just help me work a lot faster. I can come in later with my Xacto to clean up the edges. But I have to report, we lost a tooth. And why did I lose a tooth? Because when I was working on those eyes, my hand was inadvertently pressing on a tooth and pop, out it came. So I am sad we lost a tooth. But it still doesn't look too bad. She's just not going to have as many teeth. I want her to have more. I don't know if there's a way I could add a tooth maybe. I'm getting ideas as I'm working like I normally do when I do collage work or anything else. And here I go, cleaning up the mouth again. Good grief, I just can't stop, can I? Anyway, let's get back to these eyebrows. So the I have a marker that's black and I can see the surface a lot better. The only thing I don't like about the black marker, it's messy and it just means more cleanup for me later. It's not a big deal because it's easy enough to clean. The surface of the pumpkin, again, is waxy and I can work with it like that. But this did a lot of work for me, that little cutting tool. And I need to be careful because I'm dealing now with a surface that has a lot of detail cuts in it. And I don't want to compromise those, so I'm trying very hard to not do what I did before and lose a tooth or an eye. Because I want to do those eyelashes also. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to wait a little bit. I probably should do them soon because the more I take out of the pumpkin surface now, the weaker it becomes, and mistakes like the tooth are going to happen. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up with these brows. And I'll probably, again, I'll keep using the Xacto knife because I just feel I have a lot more control with the Xacto knife rather than with the larger tools. Although there's nothing wrong coming in with the larger tools and just doing some cuts just to make the work go by a little bit faster. If detail's not an issue, this is going to make the job get done a little bit faster. And I can cut it out in portions like I am right here. It doesn't have to be one pretty cut. I can come in with my Xacto and clean up edges. See, that came out a lot faster than if I was using the Xacto knife. It works pretty good, this little saw. But I really need to be careful. I don't want to mess up anything. And I want to keep those edges as clean as possible. See, I was pressing on the face. It's kind of like when you're drawing and you're using like graphite or charcoal, you don't want to press your hand on any other portion of the paper and make it dirty. There we go. And it's kind of the same here. Ooh, look, I cut too much. Oh, you gotta be careful. That's forgivable. It's still there, but it's forgivable. Get this bit of pumpkin out. I'd rather get it out than have it fall into the pumpkin if I can help it, because the cleanup on the pumpkin, it's gonna be something else. And I went all the way with the eyebrows, just cutting them out completely, because we'll have contrast with it. We'll have contrast with the eyes and with the eyebrows. I don't like that black line. I mean, I can still see it. It was very helpful, but I need to make sure it is gone. I'd like it to be gone. I also kind of solved the problem for my scraper, because I was saying how I wanted a scraper for the eyes and the nose area here. The dull edge of the Xacto knife actually works pretty well as a scraper. You still have to contend with the sharper edge because it can do some damage, but if you're in an area and you just need to do some light scraping, you can control it. You can use that dull edge of your Xacto knife. I'm going to cut a little bit out of here, and it's just going to fall into the inside of the pumpkin. That's fine. It's just going to be cleanup. Cleanup with pumpkins, as everybody knows, it's a little gnarly. So I got my eyebrows, and I wanted them connected. And I'm just cutting excess so we have more space. He's got some. I thought this was gonna be a girl. I think it's looking more like a boy. Who cares? Be anything you want to be for Halloween. Cutting here too. I'd like to see a little bit more going on. There, just like that. Okay, so I was thinking about these eyelashes. I'm getting a little nervous with them, honestly, though, because we have, again, we have a weaker surface. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of cleanup here. Dealing with an organic surface, that's what happens. I don't want to cut too much. Careful how much you cut. Can't put it back. Not even those teeth. Okay. Let us continue on with the eyelashes. And same process again. But I have to think about, what do I want to do with my eyelashes? Do I want them to be like the inside of the eye here? Do I want to cut it all the way through? Do I want it like my lips, maybe? The lip technique we haven't used since the lip technique. Everything else was kind of using the translucency. I think I may try that, but we got the black line going and it's really bugging me. I wish I didn't do it now, but it did help me see a lot better. Let's see what works out. I'm just gonna do these cuts again on the surface. I'm not trying to cut all the way to the inside. Just something that shows an eyelash, just like we did with the lips. It's a little tricky. There we go. And I can come in with my Xacto blade with the tip and cut around it, or just make it a little deeper without compromising. Trying not to compromise that eyelash. Okay. It's always good when you get a little more slivers like that. And cleaning the knife. So let's keep going. This is what we have so far. I'd like to give the pumpkin that sugar skull look, which means I kind of need to make it look like there's some skull-like cheekbones going on. So I have those already cut out on my template, and I'm going to just set them free here. So these pieces of tape were letting me know that that's how much space I want to use for my pumpkin. That might work like this. And I really need to be careful with this process, because when I do that, I'm cutting around everything, and I just need to be really careful here. So it'll probably be a similar cut like what we did with the lips and these new teeth, to again give it the Day of the Dead appearance, sugar skull wise. And I try to clean her up a little bit. It's still a little messy, but I'll worry about that when all the cutting is complete. And I think the way I'm going to proceed is just, part of me was like, I wanted to do something like this. Keep it really close to make it look like a skull. Like I shared before, originally, I thought that I would work with a larger surface, and I realized quickly that it didn't look like a skull because I was working with such a large surface, just because it's a pumpkin, it's round, and skulls are skinny. So I thought about doing something that was closer in, but then I was limited with what I could put on my picture plane, which is the surface of a round pumpkin. And now I'm looking, here we are. I was looking for this black pen. I'm not crazy about it because it's messy, but it helps me see. And right now I need to be able to see, especially for this portion. This is going to be a little tricky. Going over the teeth here. I'm not crazy about that, but I can always change my mind in a second. Just tracing it, just to give me an idea. This pen, fortunately, cleans up okay. So it's just rough when I'm working and it's messy. I want to go all the way up to here. And here we are, okay. So I just have a nice line to work with. And now we're just gonna flip it onto the other side and work with it on the other side. Of course, I need new tape to do that. And I'll just actually take this piece off. This trusty piece that's been with me since the beginning of this project. Just to keep it in place so I can have something to work with. And as we cut, as you know, things change as you cut because it's the surface of a pumpkin and it tends to do what it wants because it's a pumpkin. Line going just so I have something to work with. So you see it is going into my cuts. I really do need to be careful as I do finish up this cutting. Yeah, I really need to be careful. I'll probably do this kind of line. I'm not gonna, or I could cut all the way through. If I cut all the way through, I could run into some issues. This kind of reminds me of the Grinch. It's not the Grinch. Who cares? At this point now, I just want to get things done. So I'm not sure what this is. I was also thinking about putting like a little heart up here. If I do that, putting a little heart up here, this is running into danger because we have a space now that is not as strong. I'm always trying to clean, constantly cleaning this pumpkin. I could put something up here. I have another idea of what I'm thinking about doing. I'm really liking the decoupage to complete this project. So I am going to make a line here and we're just going to start this. I'm going to go, gotta be careful. I'm going to go a little bit at a time. I think I want to do the translucent look like we did with the eyes here with this skull. Okay. So I'm not cutting all the way through. We're not making a complete cut all the way through. And actually what I learned here as I was working is I really rely on my Xacto Knife blade to do that skimming type of cut on the surface when we're not cutting all the way through, just a little bit in. Use the edge of the blade if you're able to, and it lets you kind of put it away pretty well. Let's see. And you can even peel it up like that. I don't like doing that, kind of like with my collage cuts. You know, I like a clean cut because it means it's less for me to worry about later in terms of cleanup, especially with something as organic as a pumpkin. You know, we have a lot of cleanup to do with this guy. Okay, that's not too bad. So that's what I want to do for the rest of the skull, just to give the feeling of a skull. And then we will move on to the next part of the process, which I'm really excited about, but I'm not there yet, and I want to get there. I want to finish this today. I've already been at it for a couple of hours, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and finish this up off camera. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. The next plan of attack, because we're pretty clean now, is to paint this face. And I want to paint the pumpkin face white. I tried to clean it up as best I could, and it looks okay. I'm okay with the cleaning process. But I know now that if I come in and I do any sort of scraping from here on out, I'm going to be scraping away paint too. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. After all, you know, it's not a big deal. I'm thinking too much about it, and I kind of want to get it finished. Obviously, I will get it finished, and it's been a long day with this pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead with this. It's a matte acrylic paint from Blick. Whoops. And just a basic paint. I'm not a painter. And I bought these actually to do some jelly printing, which I have not gotten to for a minute. But we will cover the surface of our skull with white. I'm going to treat this acrylic like a primer, and there are portions of the skull that will have other colors also, and the rest of it I have to paint also pink. So we have a pink skull, we have a white skull with a pink background and elements of pink I'm hoping to include in the final image. Now I see that my lines that I have going on here are getting covered up a bit from the acrylic, and I'm hoping I'll be able to come back with my Xacto and be able to free the lines again from the acrylic. Acrylic is a plastic, as most of you know, and I'm kind of treating this as a primer, and actually it's helping a lot in regards to the cleaning process here. So I'm glad for that. And I got plenty of it. So I'm just going to continue with the painting, and let's see how we do. Have a pink pumpkin. I used some acrylic paint that I had hanging around, mixing the red and the white, and came up with this bubblegum type pink. It flips the bill, and I'm pleased. And I used the basic white for our skull face. I don't think he's looking much like a skull personally. I think he's looking more like the Grinch who stole Christmas. But we're going to proceed as if it's a skull. That's what I started out with. That's what we're going to finish up with. As for decoupage, if I do any element of decoupage, because it actually worked pretty well, here we are the next day, and these pieces stayed firmly in place. I don't want to go overboard too much with the decoupage. I don't think I do anyway, because that's I'm kind of on a time crunch right now. So I really want to at least get the painting done on the rest of the pumpkin before I start putting on the final touches. So I'm going to mix up a dark purple. I was going to use black, but I think I want to try a dark purple. Oops, this was kind of open a little bit. I'm not a painter, so please do not take my advice. when it comes to mixing paint. I'm just, it's not something I do. I know from elementary school, red and blue make purple, and I'll probably add a little bit of black maybe to give it a little, to make it darker, a little more depth. First, I'll just go ahead and mix these together and see how it looks. Okay, time for the big reveal. A little messy there. Oh, I like him. I'm going to leave him alone. We're just going to call him a him, even though he's got a pink body. We're going to call him a him. I think he looks scary and good and ready for Halloween. That was an adventure, guys, wasn't it? And we didn't even do any collage, really. I mean, we did a little bit of experimentation, which I actually didn't end up doing. We just got a scary pumpkin out of it with a lot of messy acrylic. A lot of messy acrylic. Like I said, I am not a painter. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little venture, this little side trip from collage. And I want to wish you a very happy Halloween. Thanks for watching, and have fun out there.